How you feeling, Ben?
Feeling really good. Sun's on the back, beautiful Hamilton day, and good to get full training under my belt too.
How's the, I guess since Christchurch, I know you didn't play, but since Christchurch to now, how's everyone feeling? And I guess just moving on from what happened in Christchurch.
As we feel after every review, a little bit frustrated, but we leave feeling clear on what needs to be worked on and how we're going to get better as players. So there's been some good tension around camp, but plenty of determination and things to look forward to working on.
In terms of the Rugby Championship, is this the closest you've seen it, I guess, between all four teams?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great competition this year and anyone can win on their day, and it's going to be an interesting few weeks to finish.
How's the neck after the incident last week, and you're going to be okay to play if required on Saturday?
It's feeling better, yeah. I'm working hard on it. I've realised that I've got to get a neck like a front rower to be able to handle these knocks. So I'm working hard on it in the gym with Pete, and a few more shoulder-on tackles, and I'd say I'm just about ready to go.
Did it have a greater impact given the fall in Mombella and what happened there? Did that have a greater impact on the neck? Did that make the recovery a little harder at all?
I guess it all adds up. It's another knock, and try and treat everything in isolation, but maybe it did have a compounding effect, but I'm feeling pretty good this week. Just working on each day, rehabbing, strengthening.
Just in terms of the role of the leadership group this week after the loss, and I suppose Sam's spoken a lot about the ill discipline and the penalties given away. Is there a greater role of the leadership group this week to try and stamp that out of the game and maybe take greater accountability?
Yeah, there's an element of being aware of the areas that are letting us down and training good habits. Because I think might have been 6 penalties in the weekend, 5 or 6. Buffelli kicked really well. That's what teams are going to do. It's not good enough, and we can't let ourselves down, especially if it's individual discipline issues. If it's around, ruck entry, little things like that, we need to tidy up. That's around our good habits. So it's something at the forefront of our mind, and we're all aware of, the implications it has on our team.
In terms of the attack, Beauden, how do you think that's progressing at the moment? You obviously had a change in attack coach with Joe coming in.
Yep.
What's your assessment of where things are at and how the changes, I guess, you're trying to make?
Yeah, it's all on building good habits and doing it all the time rather than sometimes. So I think Joe's been really good in that space, and there's no doubt he and Fozzie are finding their feet and how they're going to run things. But I think it's been, Joe's been awesome, and so has Fozzie. So I think we'll see the fruits of that hopefully this weekend and games to come.
If you look back to Joe's time at Leinster and Ireland, it was quite based around phase play and ball retention and minimal mistakes. Has he brought similar things here, or is there an evolution to that?
Yeah, well, that's kind of where I'm going with the good habits and doing it every time. They are machines, they run around like robots, they're very efficient. With all due respect, they know how to retain ball and they do it very effectively. So we don't want to be like other teams, we need to be the best team we can be. So there's no doubt there'll be a little bit of that showing through in weeks to come, but we've still got to be the expressive All Blacks that we know we can be.
Ian talked a lot about using the boot instead of run, for instance, and it's sort of been a constant the last few years, is it, just to get that balance of attack? Is it just that tough to change those sort of...
I think it's when the pressure comes on, naturally we want to run the ball and keep it in hand. It's just what feels so natural to us, and we've identified that in games that we've lost perhaps. We may need to kick the ball a little bit more. It seems unnatural, but it's just being aware of that. And then looking to attack in different ways. Everyone on our feet, chasing, kicks, getting those 50-50 bounces or flooding rucks and looking for turnovers that way. So it's what other teams do really well, particularly South Africa, play a low risk game plan and then put the ball up in the air and look to feed off those sort of errors. So again, we're not going to be like any other team, we've just got to figure out, and we are figuring out the way that we want to play.
How long do you give it to actually get those fruits though? Does it need
Today, started today. Yeah.
How much of it is about patience as well, when you're not trying to score off every sort of phase and being willing to build pressure across the park?
Yeah, and it goes back to the point of what does building pressure look like, Elliot. It's not necessarily holding on to the ball in building phases, it's how we use the ball, kicking, and it's the game management, and it's a collective team focus. It's not just on the 9s and 10s, it's everyone that, everyone's got to be looking for that space. So it's been at the forefront of our minds in the last few days, and we've seen some good shifts already this week.
So how do you make sure you're not overthinking, like in the situation where your instinct is, I got a seam, I can go, and next you're going, oh hang on, I should probably kick in that situation. How do you try and minimise that thought process so it's not detrimental to yourself and the team?
I think backing your instinct is the way to go.
So if you see a seam, you're going.
Totally.
Yuri, you switch a lot about playing 15 and number 10. Now in Argentina, Santiago Carraro is playing as 10, his former 15. What's your views about his performance?
Yeah, he's a very versatile, skillful player, and for years it's been Nico Sanchez. Carrera's obviously the future and got plenty of potential. He's played very well, so there's not more that I can add other than he's showed a lot of promise and he's played well for a couple of years now.
What do you expect from Argentina on Saturday?
More of the same. I think they have a good blueprint. I'd expect them to probably move the ball around a little bit more than what we saw in terms of playing with ball in hand. But yeah, they know what works for them. I think they'll continue to back their defence, the way they structure themselves positionally, filling the field and so on, and that breakdown's a huge area of focus for them. So we'll focus more on Argentina in a couple of days. It's the way we structure our week. The first couple of days it's been more about how we're going to play with ball in hand and attack.
Stephen, got a wee taste of Test rugby coming in for you on the weekend. Taranaki and Blues player like yourself, was it special, given you worked with him the last couple of years?
Yep, it was special. No one can take that game away from him. He fully deserves the opportunity and more to come. He's earned his position in this team, and regardless of the result, everyone's proud of him, and he deserves to be All Black 1206, I think it was, maybe.
You mentioned about good tension in the camp. What does good tension look like? Is it sort of a lot of accountability? Or?
Yeah, it's exactly that, being accountable. We're aware of our standards, not walking past anything we wouldn't accept, and just being good buggers as well. We've got to get that balance right, being having fun and plenty of stimulation and things like that. So we know what the performance triangle looks like. When it's time to work, we've got to be ready to go, and when it's time to switch off, it's so important, especially at the moment, to do that.
It's been made of the discipline and stuff, but how much do you guys need to reflect on that first half and what worked well and the rewards that you guys got in that first 40?
Yeah, it's about being patient. I thought we played really well in that first half, apart from 3 or 4 penalties which let them in the game. So that's where scoreboard pressure can creep in, but reality is we felt like we're on top of them, so we just got to trust, believe and stick to it, because I thought we played really well in that first 40 minutes.